I was excited to start my freelance career. Investigating mysteries felt thrilling. A few days ago, I drove into Maplewood. The main street looked charming with its old shops, but something felt off. The townsfolk smiled, but their eyes told a different story. I noticed a flicker of anxiety in them. I couldn't shake that feeling. That night, I entered a diner. The smell of coffee was strong, mixing with greasy food. I sat at the counter, listening to the clatter of plates. Two locals caught my attention. They whispered about the latest disappearance. "Lights in the woods," one of them said. His voice was low, glancing around like someone was eavesdropping. I felt a chill. I had stumbled onto something strange. The next days were filled with interviews. I spoke to Clara. Her voice wavered as she talked about her husband. He vanished weeks before. "He went to check those lights," she said, tears brimming. My heart raced. Each disappearance had links to these lights. It was becoming a pattern. People warned me. "You shouldn't go out at night," one man said, his face white. "Forget what you saw." His words hung heavy in the air. I felt uneasy, but didn't reveal my worry. One night, I sat in my motel room. I reviewed my notes, piecing everything together. A soft knock interrupted my focus. I opened the door, but nobody was there. I stepped out, heart pounding. The corridor felt too quiet. I thought I heard whispers, but maybe it was my imagination playing tricks. The next morning, I found a note shoved under my door. "Leave town now. You don't know what you're dealing with." Fear crept in. I scanned the outside. Someone wanted me gone. It felt urgent. That night, I stood in the woods behind the diner. Strange lights danced in the dark. They flickered like fireflies, but moved too quickly. My heart raced. I wanted to run, but the lights pulled me in. I couldn't help but stare. Then I saw a figure lurking in the shadows. It moved just out of sight. I blinked and it was gone. My stomach knotted. Was I next? I took a step back, panic rising. Suddenly, I heard a voice. "Jake, you shouldn't have come." I spun around but saw nothing, just darkness. I felt cold fear wrap around my chest. I was alone, but I wasn't alone. My mind raced with questions. I was way over my head. Those lights were more than just stories. I knew it. Every fiber of my being begged me to leave, but I didn't listen. Maybe I should have. No one else knew what I had seen. I needed to find out more. But in a town with secrets, I felt the weight of dread pressing down on me. Something was out there, and it was watching. I had to uncover the truth before it was too late. The next morning, I woke up in a cold sweat. My dreams were filled with flickering lights and shadowy figures. I needed a plan. I couldn't shake the feeling that everyone was hiding something crucial. So I decided to head to the town library. Maybe records or old newspapers could shed light on the mysteries surrounding these disappearances. The library was small, with dusty shelves and the smell of old paper. I walked in, greeted by the librarian, a woman with sharp eyes who seemed to know more than she let on. I told her I was researching local history. She hesitated before leading me to a corner filled with archives. I began sifting through old articles, looking for any mention of strange occurrences. Hours passed. I found a few mentions of odd lights in the woods, often dismissed as trick photography or misidentified animals. But then I found something more unsettling, a newspaper article from over 20 years ago. It told the story of children who had gone missing near those same woods. Their families received strange messages before their disappearances. Panic surged in my chest. I knew I needed someone to talk to about this. Clara came to mind. She might have more insight. I rushed back to the diner, hoping she'd be there. The place was busy, and the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. I spotted Clara at a booth, staring out the window. Her face looked drawn, shadows under her eyes. "Clara," I said, sliding into the seat across from her, "I found something." I pulled out the newspaper clipping, showing her the headline. Her eyes widened, and a tremor ran through her hands. "Those kids, it's been years, but the stories, they resurface," she whispered. I leaned in closer, my heartbeat quickening. "What do you know?" She glanced around, making sure we weren't overheard. "My husband mentioned those kids before he went missing. He said there were rumors, something about a guardian of the woods." "Guardian?" I asked, my mind racing. I couldn't tell if it was folklore or something darker. "Yes, a figure that was said to protect the forest. People think it's just a myth, but the disappearances, they seem to connect." Her voice trembled as she spoke. Before I could respond, the door swung open and a gust of wind rushed in. An older man stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room. He caught sight of me and Clara. I felt a chill run down my spine. There was something in his gaze, recognition mixed with fear. "Jake," he said, his voice gravelly, "you shouldn't be here. You need to leave the past buried." I felt the room close in. Who was he? Was he part of this? "Why? What do you know?" I asked, voice steady despite the rising tension. He shook his head, backing away towards the door. "You don't want to find out. Trust me." With that, he turned and left. Clara and I exchanged worried glances. My instinct screamed at me to be careful. I was being warned. Off, but I was too deep to back out now. As I left the diner, I stepped outside to follow the man. My heart was pounding. But then I paused. In the distance, I saw those lights flickering again, just beyond the tree line. They beckoned me in, and I felt the pull, stronger than ever. I knew I was being drawn into something much darker, and I couldn't turn back now. I hesitated on the diner steps, looking at the flickering lights through the trees. They pulsed like a heartbeat, drawing me closer. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. Clara's warning and the stranger's words swirled in my mind, but the thrill of uncovering the truth pushed me forward. As I stepped into the forest, the underbrush crunched under my feet. The cool air was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the rustling of leaves. I followed the lights, my pulse quickening with each step. I glanced back towards the diner, but its warmth seemed far away now, swallowed by the shadows. The trees grew taller, their limbs twisting like skeletal fingers overhead. The lights danced just out of reach, moving deeper into the woods. Were they leading me or luring me into a trap? I couldn't tell, but I was past the point of no return. The further I went, the more the air changed, heavy and electric, like a storm was brewing. Suddenly, I stopped. A low hum filled the air, vibrating in my chest. The lights shifted again, this time forming a circle, illuminating a clearing. I stepped into the light and then froze. In the center was a small stone monument covered in moss and strange symbols. I approached slowly, my heart racing. I brushed my fingers against the stone, tracing the markings. They looked almost like warning signs, symbols of protection, or perhaps something more sinister. I remembered Clara mentioning that guardian of the woods. Was this it? That's when I heard a rustling behind me. I spun around, adrenaline surging, but there was no one, just the trees, watching. Then I noticed something unusual at the edge of the clearing. Faded photographs pinned to tree trunks, faces smiling back at me. I rushed over, my hands shaking as I sifted through them. These were the kids who had disappeared. Their faces were eerily familiar, eyes filled with innocence. In one corner, I found a crumpled newspaper clipping. It was about the very stories I had read earlier, children who had vanished without a trace. A chill ran down my spine. Was this a shrine? A memorial? I felt a presence, something lurking just beyond my vision. My breath hitched as I turned back toward the lights. They were gone. A suffocating darkness enveloped me, and I fumbled for my phone, my hands clumsy in my panic. The screen lit up, and I quickly checked the map. I wasn't far from home, but in this darkness, every step felt like a mile. Just as I was about to head back, a flash caught my attention. A figure stood at the edge of the clearing, shrouded in shadow, but unmistakably human. "Who are you?" I called, fear narrowing my voice. The figure stepped forward, revealing a face that made my stomach drop. It was the older man from the diner. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Before I could respond, the ground beneath me shook and the air buzzed with energy. Then, everything went dark. I don't know how long I was out. When I came to, the air was heavy, almost suffocating. The clearing was still dark, but I could make out the outlines of the trees around me. I went to push myself up, but my limbs felt too heavy. Panic set in as I realized I was alone. "Hello?" My voice trembled in the silence. No response. The only thing I could hear was the rush of my heartbeat in my ears. I clumsily rose to my feet, feeling disoriented. My phone was still in my pocket, the screen cracked from when I had fallen. As I fumbled for it, I felt the chill brush against my skin, just like before. The sensation of being watched returned. Glancing around, I searched for the man from the diner, but he was nowhere in sight. With an anxious breath, I turned back to the stone monument. The symbols seemed to glow faintly now, almost beckoning me. I stepped closer, drawn to the strange carvings, feeling like they were somehow communicating. My fingers tingled against the cold stone. That's when I noticed something new, a glimmering object half buried in the dirt near the monument. I reached down and unearthed it. It was a small locket, tarnished but still intricate. I opened it and my breath caught. Inside were tiny portraits of the very same kids from the photographs. Each face stared back at me, their smiles replaced by eyes full of fear. "Why?" I whispered, feeling more lost with each breath. Just then, a low growl broke through the silence. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I spun around, heart racing again. Shadows shifted in the darkness as something moved, skirting the edge of the clearing. "Is anyone there?" I tried one more time, trying to sound firm despite my shaking voice. But deep down, I knew I was alone. The darkness felt alive, pressing in on me. I needed to get out. Fear propelled me forward. I sprinted toward where I thought the path might be. The thick underbrush snagged at my clothes, but I didn't stop. I headed in the opposite direction of the growl, desperate to escape whatever was lurking in the dark. As I broke through the tangled trees, I thought I could see a faint light ahead. Breathless and panicked, I pushed on. That's when I stumbled into another clearing, this one filled with the remnants of worn paths and broken toys, remnants of a playground long abandoned. "Why are you here?" a voice called from behind me. I spun around again. The voice belonged to a girl, maybe 10 years old. She stood at the edge of the clearing, pale and worn, as if she had lived there forever. I'm looking for something," I stammered. "You won't find it. This place doesn't let you go," she warned, casting her wide eyes toward the shadows. I was about to tell her I wasn't afraid when I heard the growl again, closer this time. I felt the ground tremble beneath me. I took a step back, fear gripping me tighter than ever. Then I got a glimpse of it, something massive and dark, slinking across the ground. Before I could make sense of it, terror crashed through me. I had to run. I turned back to the girl, but she was gone, as if she had never been there. The darkness pulsed around me, and I was plunged into chaos. I had to find a way out before whatever was behind me caught up. I sprinted again, each breath frantic, but I wasn't sure if I was running towards safety or deeper into the nightmare. The sound of rushing footsteps echoed in my ears as I darted through the remnants of the playground. My heart raced, and I could barely breathe. I wanted to look back to see what was chasing me, but I couldn't risk it. I had to keep moving. I weaved around rusted swings and a broken slide, my mind racing to process everything that had happened. The girl, the locket, the growl. It all felt surreal, like a twisted version of reality. I sprinted toward the edge of the clearing, hoping for a way out. But as I reached the tree line, I stopped short. Directly in front of me was a path cloaked in shadow and overgrown with brambles. The feeling of being watched returned, more intense this time. A chill whispered down my spine. I hesitated, torn between choosing the path or turning back to where I had entered. Then I heard it again, a deep, guttural growl that reverberated through the air. It was much closer now. I was running out of time. I stepped onto the path, hoping it might lead me away from the horror behind me. As I moved, the darkness crept closer, the dense foliage wrapping around me like running through a tunnel. I fought against the urge to panic, focusing on my footsteps instead. But just when I thought I might escape, the sound of my shuffling feet was drowned out by a soft whisper. "Don't go that way." My breath catch in my throat. I froze, eyes darting around frantically. "Who's there?" Silence fell again, thick and suffocating. I squinted into the shadows, but could see nothing beyond the twisted branches. I pressed on, thinking it might have just been my imagination, the result of my heightened fear. But that's when I saw it. A flicker of light ahead, soft and beckoning. I pushed myself forward, moving faster. The faint glow felt promising, a chance for safety. As I got closer, it grew brighter and more defined. A small campfire nestled against an old stone wall, remnants of a long-abandoned cabin. My heart leaped. There might be someone there. I rushed toward it, desperate for reassurance. But as I neared the flames, a figure emerged from the shadows. "Where do you think you're going?" The voice was low and gravelly, laced with something unsettling. I stumbled to a stop, caught between the firelight and the shadows. The figure stepped forward, revealing a man with deep-set eyes and unkempt hair. He had a wild look, as if he hadn't seen civilization in years. I'm trying to find my way out," I managed to say, trying to keep my voice steady despite the tremor of fear that curled in my stomach. He smirked slightly. "You won't find it here. Everyone who comes to this place gets lost. You should have turned back while you could." Panic swelled inside me. "What do you mean? What is this place?" Before he could respond, a new sound broke through the air. A low, unsettling howl that seemed to answer my question. I glanced behind me, and the darkness swirled with malicious intent. The thing was coming, and I was trapped. "I don't want to be here anymore," I shouted, turning back to the man. But he only laughed. Too late for that. In that moment, the severity of my situation hit me. I needed to escape before whatever prowled in the dark dragged me down with it. But the only way out seemed blocked now, with the shadows closing in. "What do I do?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the threat that stalked me. And then I realized the light from the fire flickered dangerously, the shadows growing bolder. Someone else was in the woods, and it might be time to decide if I wanted to face the darkness or take a chance on the unpredictable man before me. I felt trapped, caught between the fire and the encroaching dark. My instinct screamed for me to bolt down the only path I had just come from, but the weight in the air told me the howl was getting closer. "Who are you?" I blurted out, my voice quivering under the strain of fear. "Why are you here?" The man grinned, and for a moment his face almost seemed to shimmer in the firelight. "I'm just someone who decided to stay." He leaned closer, and I caught a whiff of something rotten on his breath. "I've had my fill of this place. It's a part of me now." I stole a glance over my shoulder, my mind racing. I could hear the growls now, low and rumbling like thunder in the distance. I needed a way out, but the man's presence held me captive, a paradox. Of potential danger or strange safety? "What's coming after me?" I asked, voice steadier than I felt. His laughter rang out like a chilling echo. "It's not what, but who. Many have come, but few returned. You must ask yourself, what do you want? Freedom or to embrace the darkness?" Before I could reply, the bushes rustled violently behind me. I turned, my heart pounding. A shadow emerged from the foliage, moving silently but with purpose. Panic surged through me, and every instinct screamed to run. The shadow seemed to deepen, twisting and curling like living things. "Get back!" I shouted, raising my arms defensively. The man didn't flinch. Instead, he took a step toward the fire, almost inviting the shadow to come closer. "You think you can fight it? You're already in its territory." My pulse quickened, my breath coming in sharp gasps. I felt lightheaded as the creature came closer, the air heavy with its presence. It wasn't visible yet, but I could sense it lurking with a primal hunger. "Please," I begged the man, desperate. "Help me, we can get out together." He glanced back, a look of amusement dancing in his eyes. "You've already made your choice by coming here. You don't get to unmake it now." Then I saw it, a pair of glowing eyes piercing through the shadows behind him. The growl intensified, and fear took hold of my throat. In that split second, the man lunged, pulling me closer. "Hold on tight," he said sharply as he turned toward the wall of the cabin. I didn't know where he intended to take me, but staying here was not an option. I grasped his arm, torn between trust and suspicion, as he pushed against the stone. Just when I thought I could hear the unmistakable sound of claws scraping on wood, the wall shifted. A dark passage opened up, offering a glimpse of bleakness swirling within. "This way," he urged, and with no other choice before me, I followed him into the darkness. The shadows swallowed us whole. Yet, as we plunged into the void, a nagging thought struck me. If he was part of this place now, what would it mean for me? Was I walking toward salvation, or was I sealing my own fate in the very horrors I tried to escape? I had no answer as I felt the weight of the darkness close in behind us. Suddenly, a scream pierced the silence. It echoed through the passage, sending chills racing down my spine. It felt familiar, like a memory I couldn't place. Then, everything went dark. The darkness pressed in around us, cold and suffocating. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing my senses to focus, but it felt impossible. The passage was narrow, the stone walls brushing against me as we moved deeper. I could barely hear my companion's breath, but the rhythm of my own heart thudded loudly in my ears. "Keep moving," the man urged, his voice sharp. His hand was surprisingly strong around my wrist, guiding me through the pitch-black corridor. I wanted to pull away, to distance myself, but panic kept me tethered. Then I heard it again, the scream. It echoed through the stone walls, more visceral this time. A deep chill crept down my spine. It sounded like someone else was trapped down here, and the thought of another soul lost in this labyrinth made my stomach twist. "What was that?" I whispered, my voice trembling. The man glanced back at me, his expression unreadable. "Just the echoes of those who came before you," he replied, as if this dark knowledge amused him. I hated how calm he was. "Trust me, they're not your concern." I couldn't shake the feeling of dread building in my chest. The passage twisted and turned as if it were alive. Each step we took seemed to widen the void of uncertainty between us. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. He paused, and the tension hung in the air like a thick fog. "There is a door at the end of this tunnel," he said finally. "It leads to a choice." A choice? What kind of choice? I felt even more lost, and the thought of facing whatever lay ahead made me shudder. "What happens if I go through it?" He smirked, though there was a shadow behind his eyes that sent a jolt through me. "That depends on what you've come to seek." But I wasn't sure what I was seeking anymore. Escape? Clarity? The scream echoed again, sharper this time, and my gut twisted again. As we continued down the passage, I noticed small details flickering in the dark, symbols carved into the stone, their meanings escaping me in the gloom. They felt ancient, a warning etched from lifetimes ago. I brushed my fingers against one, feeling the cold stone. A shiver raced through me, and I hesitated. The man halted, sensing my uncertainty. "Do not dwell on what was," he advised, almost kindly. "Focus on what might be." Just then, the air shifted. I caught the faintest whisper, a voice riding the currents of darkness. "Help me." It tugged at my heart, a desperate plea that sent my spirit reeling. "Please, we have to go back," I said, my voice rising in panic. I fought against his grip, my heart racing. "Someone needs help." He chuckled softly, a sound devoid of warmth. "It's too late for them. You need to focus, or you could join them." As he spoke, the passage behind us began to warp. The shadows stretched and pulsed like a living thing, a predatory force that began to close in. The only way was forward. Then, ahead of us, a sliver of light appeared through the darkness, faint but distinct. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. I had to know what was on the other side. Was it my salvation, or was it more darkness wrapped in light? I took a deep breath, readying myself for the truth. Suddenly, the darkness roared, and the walls of the passage began to tremble. I was running out of time. I lunged toward the light, a fragile beacon in the dread. The man's grip tightened, but I tore away, propelled by instinct. My feet skidded against rough stone as I sprinted, the darkness clawing at my back. I felt it reach for me, a cold, unseen hand brushing against my neck. When I reached the edge of the light, I stopped suddenly, stumbling into a small chamber. Panic surged as I skidded to a halt. The room was circular, lit by a soft, white glow that illuminated the walls. Strange carvings adorned the surface, shimmering as if imbued with life. The air buzzed with energy, prickling my skin. But I wasn't alone. In the center of the room sat a figure, someone crumpled on the floor. The moment I saw them, a rush of clarity shot through my fear. It was a woman, her hair cascading like shadows around her face. It was hard to tell how long she had been there, but her eyes were wide, darting to and fro, as if searching for escape. "Help me," she gasped, her voice cracking. "Please." I hesitated, the scream echoing in my head. "What happened to you?" I asked, my voice shaking. "The door," she stammered, pointing frantically to a heavy wooden door opposite where I stood. "You have to get out before it closes. It's—" The man appeared beside me, his presence darkening the room. "You don't want to listen to her," he said. "Her time is up. Yours has only just begun." I turned to him, confusion swirling with fear. "What do you mean? She needs help." The woman shivered, as if my words had cut her. "Don't trust him. He's the reason all of this is happening." Her voice rose with desperation, bubbling over with truth. The man laughed, a twisted sound that echoed off the walls. "Her reality has already crumbled. You're standing at the threshold of your choice. Do you want to join her in despair or forge your path? Choose wisely." I looked back at the woman, then at the glinting door. It pulsed with an energy that felt alive, both terrifying and tempting. Behind me, shadows whispered, beckoning me back into their fold. "Run," the woman urged, her eyes pleading. "You can escape." But how could I choose? Fear wrapped around me like a vice. I felt the weight of their stares, each shimmering symbol, each agonized whisper from the darkness. Suddenly, the ground beneath me shook violently. A crack spiderwebbed across the chamber floor. I stumbled back, heart racing. The walls began to close in, the whispers growing louder. "Time's up!" the man shouted. With a burst of adrenaline, I sprang toward the glowing door, every nerve screaming. The distance felt endless, the shadows clawing at my heels. I was almost there, but the ground tilted beneath me, threatening to send me tumbling back into the void. Then everything went dark. The last thing I saw was the woman, the look of defeat on her face as I reached for the door handle. The whispers turned into screams. Just as the darkness swallowed me, an icy hand wrapped around my wrist, pulling me backward, dragging me into the abyss. I could barely breathe. I gasped as the darkness released me, flinging me into a new reality. I hit the ground hard, rolling across a damp, grassy patch. My lungs burned from the brief struggle with panic. I glanced around, hoping the shadows hadn't followed. I was outside. The cool night air wrapped around me, a stark contrast to the suffocating void I had just experienced. The stars above glimmered like tiny eyes, watching me. I sat up slowly, disoriented, trying to gather my thoughts. Shapes moved in the distance, silhouettes of trees swaying gently in the breeze. Then I noticed it, the faint glow of lights flickering through the trees, like fireflies dancing in the darkness. Something pulled me toward it, a sense of urgency thrumming in my chest. I pushed myself to my feet and stumbled toward the glow, the ground uneven beneath me. As I approached the edge of the woods, I spotted what appeared to be a small clearing. Then I saw them, a group of figures huddled around a blazing fire, casting long shadows against the trunks of the trees. I squinted, trying to catch a glimpse of their faces, but the light flickered too wildly. "Hey," I called out, unsure if they could hear me over the crackling flames. "Can you help me?" One of the figures turned, and my heart sank. It was the woman, looking much more vibrant than the last time I saw her. Her hair caught the firelight, revealing familiar features. She rose from her seat and rushed toward me. I hesitated. You're real?" "Yes," she said, breathless with relief. "You made it out. I thought you were lost forever." Lost forever. The words echoed in my mind. I stepped back, suddenly conscious of how exposed I felt. "Where are we? What's happening?" She hesitated, casting a glance back at the group before stepping closer. "We're safe for now, but we don't have much time. They can still find us. You need to listen to me." "Who? The man?" "Yes, he has power here. People have gone missing because of him, how he feeds off their despair. I thought I could escape, but I was wrong." Her voice trembled. "And they rely on fear to control us. You can't let it consume you." I shivered at the thought, barely able to process it. The man, fear, despair. It felt like each word dragged me deeper into confusion. So what do we do? You have to stay strong. We need to get to the other side, she said, pointing deeper into the woods. There's a passage through the trees, a way out, but we have to hurry. It's our only chance. A sudden chill swept through the air, the feeling of being watched prickling my neck. I looked around, half expecting the man to appear out of the shadows. But what about the others? I whispered, nodding toward the group. They were still by the fire, oblivious to our conversation. They're trapped, she said, her voice barely above a murmur. If we don't move now, we'll be next. That's when I saw it, a dark shape slipping between the trees, gliding toward us. My heart raced as adrenaline surged through me. I took a step back, instinct pushing me to flee. Both the woman and I had to act, and fast. "Run!" I shouted, grabbing her hand. There was no time to lose. We bolted towards the woods, the shadows closing in behind us. The fire's warmth receded, leaving only the chill of the night air, heavy with the weight of dread. Branches snagged at my clothes and hair, but I pressed on, dragging the woman along with me. Her eyes reflected terror, but there was a glimmer of hope, kindling my determination. "Faster!" I yelled, but I could hear the growls behind us, gaining ground, hungry for the light. The path became a blur of dark shapes and the sound of our frantic breaths. The weight of the unseen presence pressed on my back, urging me to look over my shoulder, questioning if we were being pursued. We stumbled into a thicket, breaths shallow, and it felt like a moment of reprieve as we found ourselves enclosed by thick trees. The shadows lurked close, but the leaves rustled in the breeze, offering just enough cover for us to slow down. "What now?" I gasped, trying to regain my composure. "Just a little further," she replied, her voice trembling but resolute. "We have to reach the passage. It's hidden, but if we don't keep moving, he will catch up." "Who? The man?" I gasped. "Yes, the one who feeds on our fears," she replied, her fear slicing through the darkness. "He's not just a man, he's tied to this place." Somewhere in the inky blackness, a low voice dripped with malice. "You really think you can escape?" My heart hammered as I turned to see him materialize just beyond our thicket, a shadow among the trees. "You shouldn't have come back," his voice echoed, smooth yet sinister. "You've always belonged to the darkness." "We won't let you take us," I shouted, attempting to channel my fear into defiance. The woman squeezed my hand tighter. "Stay strong," she urged. The man stepped forward, the shadows curling around him, scenting our fear like a predator stalking its prey. "You can't outrun your destiny," he taunted. "You're drawn to this place, and it won't let you leave." But instinct kicked in again. "This way." I pulled the woman deeper into the woods, my heart racing as the darkness thrummed with his twisted presence. "Left, down the slope," she called, her voice directing me while my own instinct screamed to flee. I navigated the uneven terrain, adrenaline pushing me onward despite the fear gnawing at the edges of my resolve. We reached the bottom of the slope, panting and exhausted. The flickering of the lights was still ahead, more urgent than before, but so was the growl behind us. It reverberated through my bones, promising a fate worse than death. Then I spotted it, a glimmer beneath the trees, a narrow passage that seemed to beckon us. "There!" I pointed, feeling a surge of hope. The darkness pulsed, lurching forward. "You think you can escape? You've already chosen your fate by stepping into the shadows." We dashed toward the opening, the light beckoning. My heartbeat crescendoed, an internal drum leading us closer to safety. Just as we reached the edge of the passage, the ground trembled beneath our feet. Without hesitation, we plunged into the light, my heart racing with terror, the shadows snapping at our heels. But stepping through felt like slipping into water. Suddenly, I was weightless, surrounded by a glow. I squeezed my eyes shut, feeling as if I'd been swallowed whole. And then, silence. When I finally opened my eyes, the sound of rustling leaves replaced the growl that throbbed in my ears. I blinked against soft light. I was outside, standing at the edge of a forest on a sunny afternoon. Breathless and disoriented, I turned in a circle. The woman was gone. The clearing around me was bright, quiet, utterly mundane. A few people walked down a path not far away, smiling as they strolled with their families. My heart sank. Had it all been a nightmare or a cruel trick? I staggered back, heart racing as I glimpsed the woods behind me. There were no flickering lights, no darkness curling around my ankles, just trees swaying gently in the breeze. I stepped forward, but felt a chill run down my spine. Something wasn't right. I pulled out my phone, my hands trembling, hoping to see a message or a missed call, anything anchoring me to reality. But only the names of the people missing in Maplewood scrolled across my mind. Clara, the lost children, the woman, had they really existed? As I stepped away from the woods, the eeriness followed me. The feeling that I was still being watched clung to me, that this could all drop back into chaos at any moment. Whether it was all real or imagined, I couldn't tell. But I knew one thing. I had stepped into shadows that lingered just beyond my sight. I moved to a different town a week later, hoping to bury the terror. But I still think about Maplewood sometimes, about the darkness waiting patiently. And more than anything, I wonder what happened to the woman, if she ever found her way out. Will I ever forget? Kicking away dreams of light that lead into shadows? I guess I'll never know.